Ladies and gentlemen, Churchill at Munich is a history book, but it is also a novel. It imagines an alteration of a key moment in the 20th century and sends history moving in a significantly different direction. Ever since I was old enough to read history books, I found the appeasement of Hitler, the appeasement of Nazi Germany during the 1930s, particularly fascinating. The high watermark of appeasement came in 1938 at the Munich conference. Neville Chamberlain, Britain's prime minister, and Édouard Daladier, the prime minister of France, went to Munich and surrendered their reason, their courage, and their integrity. They betrayed democratic Czechoslovakia. They sold Czechoslovakia down the river. To Adolf Hitler, they traded the Sudetenland, a strategically vital part of Czechoslovakia, home to the Skoda works and a network of sophisticated fortifications, essentially in exchange for a piece of paper. Chamberlain then proudly waved about that piece of paper, claiming it represented peace for our time. Winston Churchill said of Munich to the appeaser Chamberlain, "You had a choice between war and dishonor. You chose dishonor, and you will have war." And so it was. Hitler simply tore up that piece of paper. Nazi Germany immediately annexed the Sudetenland, and within 6 months of Munich, occupied the remainder of Czechoslovakia. 7 months after that, Germany invaded Poland. Bottom line, the Munich conference was the principal cause of the Second World War. Fascinating question. How would history have changed if Churchill, rather than Chamberlain, had been prime minister at the time of the Munich conference? Nobody had ever written such a novel of alternate history, so I took a crack at it. Interesting development. Not long after I started writing the novel, its principal feature became analogous to a current event. The equivalent to the Sudetenland in the 21st century is a region called Crimea. The equivalent to Czechoslovakia is, of course, Ukraine. Adolf Hitler claimed it was his responsibility to protect the ethnic Germans of the Sudetenland, and he called Czechoslovakia a mongrel artificial creation that did not deserve to exist. Vladimir Putin has claimed that it is his responsibility to protect the ethnic Russians of Crimea, and he regards Ukraine as a subordinate country that must remain within the orbit of Russia. So think about it. In the 1930s, the democratic powers stood by and appeased Hitler's every aggression, giving him bloodless victory after bloodless victory. They thereby deprived his generals and the Prussian Old Guard, who despised Hitler, who considered him bohemian trash, of any compelling reason to depose the dictator. In 2014, history produced a terrible rhyme. A mere 8 decades after the sellout in Munich, we saw a similar failure of will among the democracies as it relates to Crimea. This time we don't have a Churchill in the wings, but we can still look to him for advice. From the many millions of words Churchill left us in his books and speeches, I will draw a mere 8 words. I think these 8 words answer to the situation we're facing at this moment internationally, and equally to the situation we're facing within the United States, maybe especially to the situation we're facing within the United States. Churchill once said, and I quote, "When you are going through hell, keep going." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. I'd be delighted to answer any questions you may have.